Oh, sorry, Pradeep, for just butting in. I was just clarifying that under the Information Technology Act of 2000, you had an independent statutory authority, which was known as the Controller of Certifying Authorities. Every time the government wanted to monitor, block, or decrypt, it will go to the statutory authority, take its approval, and then the statutory authority is going to direct such blocking. Thanks to the 2611 Mumbai attacks, and suddenly things changed dramatically. The IT Amendment Act 2008 done away with this entire concept of reporting to a statutory authority. Instead, huge powers of interception, blocking, decryption and monitoring were given to both the central and state governments. Well, that was the requirement of the time, but the last 4 years have shown that there is least transparency in this entire process. I can understand that there will be some facts that the government would not want to share, but at least we need to have a framework of transparency so that independent netizens and the Twitterati need to know, as also the general population, that this is the particular reason or the basis for blocking.
And for a democracy, really, it is important for the internet citizens to be assured that this is not about blocking their freedom of speech and expression. It's about larger national interests, and perhaps the point that both Mr. Duggal and Rajiv have made here is it's all about transparency. It's all about using the social media as an ally to their advantage. Mr. Gupta, do you think the government has failed in that role, really, to use the social media to its advantage?
I think there are two Mr. Guptas. Let me respond.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they need to use it.
Pradeep, sorry.
But before I
go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Pradeep Gupta, to you first.
Okay. No, I was saying first, to Rajiv, I just want to say one thing, that it is very difficult to get any kind of a consensus emerging amongst netizens. So it's good to say it, but I don't think it is practical. So yeah, there has to be some sort of guidelines and some kind of thing. But the point basically is that to answer your question, Shweta, I think they should have taken this entire thing to their advantage. The technology which is available on social media, you can counter things quite rapidly. Knee-jerk reactions, reacting very late. Reacting, blocking things after 5 days. I don't think that really helps. Again, as far as the order is concerned, are they perpetually blocked? Are they blocked for a certain time period? Is there a reinstatement procedure? There are lots of unanswered questions here.
Yeah, so what I'll add to what Pradeep is saying, see, the whole thing is the government has Mr. Duggal said the government has powers to monitor. Did the government and Twitter, produces enormous information. Facebook produces enormous information. Did they study that information and say this is about to happen? Did they monitor that and understand that this was about to happen? And actually start a right information campaign against the misinformation that was going on. So I didn't see the government doing that.
That exists, the lack of online intelligence, and the fact that we clearly need to use technology better. For we are, after all, an IT superpower, so to say. We're talking about us really being the IT backbone of the world. But when it comes to using technology, the government fails at it.
I think there are three very, very critical aspects of the matter. The first aspect is the legal framework, the second aspect is the technology, and the third aspect is that both these have to go hand in hand with fundamental rights. Now, as far as the legal framework is concerned, let us admit and accept that companies, intermediaries who are located outside our territorial boundaries will never concede to the jurisdiction of our courts or investigating agency.
And what are the powers we have to prosecute them? Because we're already seeing a legal battle that is ongoing, and it's not the first time that we've seen the government in a legal battle.
Unless you have an arrangement with that particular country, you can't get them. I mean, let's admit and accept this first.
I totally tend to disagree, because I believe India cannot be a mood spectator and be held hostage by a couple of these social media websites. Hold on. India is such a huge market. It's one of the biggest m-commerce and e-commerce markets of the world. You want to do business here? Go ahead and do business, but comply with Indian law. You don't want to comply. I think you need to be blocked.
I think my point cannot be taken in isolation. In the instant case, you've been able to trace all these IP addresses to a particular location. Do you have the technology to jam it? China has it, you don't.
No, so that basically.
Have you? If you ban 10 IPs, 10 more IPs would be created from the same zone.
Therefore, banning is
Can you jam it? Can you jam it? Can you jam
So
IP
is it an issue of
addresses
lack
coming
of
out
technology? Is it an issue of lack of
lack
technology
of
that exists?
implementation. It's an issue of
Government
lack of
bashing
enforcement.
is the easiest to do. But please let us admit here that you don't have the technology. That's number one.
I'd like to
China
put in a
has.
point over here.
Now,
but whose fault is that?
Number two.
Okay,
But
please
whose
go
fault
ahead
is
with
that?
your point, Mr. Gupta.
I again think we have the technology, but we are not deploying it. You know, we have the technology, but I don't think we have deployed it enough. You know, the moment we had something coming from Pakistan, and if we know that it is of scurrilous nature and it is going to affect our national security, there should be an immediate way by which we should be able to block it.
Which is not done.
So that is not a question of technology, it's a question of governance. It's a question of
Also a question of technology.
It's a question of enforcement.
Harish, my point to you now is that we're again seeing this debate not giving us any easy answers. On one hand, we're saying that the government needs to understand that it cannot go ahead and go for this all-out crackdown. On the other hand, we're also saying that we need to go after these online sites or these social media websites if they are not cooperating. We're really contradicting ourselves here.
The thing is, I think everybody wants to do the right thing and the right thing what they feel for them. And in this case, the government at large is looking at the right thing for the people. And people saying that there is no technology, that is not the fact. It's just that there are too many intermediaries. The government has to coordinate with many intermediaries in this case to block an IP or jam an IP or whatever that case may be. It has to be done at the underwater cables that connect us in different countries. Those cables have to be taken care of. The ISPs have to be taken care of. So there are a lot of things that have to be done in the technological front, and many are controlled by private and some are by government. So you know, the coordination and all that has to be done.
I have a point to add.
And also, Harish, the fact that some of these online sites themselves say that they don't have the technology to go ahead and block it, isn't that all a mere excuse or a time buying tactic?
No, that's definitely an excuse. That's not possible. A person who can post a content can remove this content. That is known to everybody. A person who studies Java, the first year of his knowledge on Java or HTML, he knows what he posts he can remove. So there is no case of saying that I don't have the technology if I'm running a site. That's just an excuse.
So Rajiv, I'll just come to Rajiv. What explains Twitter's reaction, really saying that we're having technical difficulties in blocking those handles?
I wouldn't know Twitter's architecture, and I'm not a tech person. But what I understand from what was said earlier was they wanted to block specific posts. Which is pretty much delete them. And I think Twitter is also waiting to understand what's government's take, whether this is a one-time thing or is this going to be ongoing. The fact is Twitter is not present in India in large numbers, not incorporated in India. So it's obviously taking its time, buying its time, and figuring out where this goes as a saga. I wanted to make a point.
Yes, Mr. Dugal. We have to start getting closing comments. Also.
I think I get a feeling that we need to look at a couple of more important aspects which are equally significant than social media. The first is, well, we are all doing social media bashing or free speech or whatever. What happens in the misuse of mobile networks within India?
Right.
Was the government sleeping when all this was happening? When we started seeing actual migrations happening, why were actions not taken? Number two, I think there is a need for a cyber army for India. India lacks a cyber army. Till such time we don't have a cyber warriors group which can help protect sovereign interests of India in cyberspace. It is going to be a huge challenge.
And amending the IT Act is also an absolute must. This should be a wake-up call, really.
It is a huge wake-up call. Our IT Act is completely deficient, and if we don't amend it, we are already in the Stone Age.
Anupam, Stone
I think
Age.
one very important aspect is our right to privacy. Right to privacy is again a part of Article 21 and included in right to life. We cannot have a government snooping around, which would also further violate our right to privacy.
But again, you're contradicting.
There must be,
again,
yes,
it's contradictory.
This is also a converse logic.
Yes, because on one hand you're saying you cannot allow government snooping, but on the other hand you also believe that yes, there is a need to block all that obnoxious content that exists, and that may be leading to the kind of unrest.
There must be a balance.
See, let me sum up by saying again, and I repeat a few things, that the government, social media is one part of the new media. mobile is a very big part of it. In fact, much more than social media.
Right.
And the government has not really taken any concrete steps to prevent misuse of the mobile networks. And that just shows the lack of understanding of this. They've been late in responding to this. They've not used this media to their advantage, but they have gone and confronted this media. And I think the biggest point here is they have curbed the freedom of expression of people who are Indian citizens who have been maybe against the government, but not anti-national. They have not taken anti-national content off the net.
A fine balance really needed between blocking the kind of content that is anti-national and simply that is hate speech, which may also be against the government. Mr. Pradeep Gupta, after this rather long and interesting debate, let me get closing comments from you.
Yeah, closing comment from me is that yes, there has to be a balance between freedom of expression, freedom of media versus national interest. So we need to find that right balance. It's still early days for social media. The way for print and for television we have found that sort of a balance. I think the same kind of a thing will emerge here, except that the time that is available on our hand is very short, and therefore we must move very, very rapidly. I completely, I'll reiterate the earlier point that I admit that we must have a very, rapid action force to be able to take care of situations as and when they arise, and we should not be, taking such a long response time to tackle such like issues.
Harish, your comments before we end the discussion.
Yeah, what I feel is I'd like to add to what Mr. Pawan told. The government has to come in with a cyber army, as he's saying. We require that. That's the most necessary thing as of now, because every content that goes on the social media site, it's just available to everyone. It's rapid. Like if you post a content, it goes to lakhs and lakhs of people. So if it is going to be something which is going to create a problem, then the government has to intervene and it has to block, and they have to come up with a technology where it can be monitored every now and then and taken care of. I think that should be very easy for the government to do. It's just a matter of time and a few people, and it will be done. Yeah.
All right, Rajiv, let me end by asking you if we are going to continue seeing this entire debate trending on Twitter for days to come. I know it was trending majorly all of today, but what do the signs look like? This is something that's not ending anytime soon, Rajiv.
Yeah, I feel till the government does not bring in process and predictability, it will see a backlash from the users. Process and predictability in the system will help people cope with whatever changes the government wants to bring in to the system. And I think that's where it's lacking. Just because something has gone wrong and you suddenly start blocking things, I don't think it works. You need to put a process and predictability into the system, saying we are going to block if this happens, whether it causes a big inflammatory problem or not, right? And that is going to be something that the government has to work upon and work with the users, be participative and not be this big brother of sorts. I don't think that will go down well with the users of social media sites.
All right, but is the government's concern the users of social media or those who are absolutely vulnerable at this point when there is clearly an unprecedented situation? That remains another big debate. Should the government really worry about all those people who are questioning the freedom of speech and expression, or do they have a bigger worry at hand? Clearly they do have a bigger worry at hand. We should not be government bashing at this point, perhaps.
There is the government bashing. No, the government has to act fast. The government is taking derogatory steps. I mean, there are steps which are not going to really help the situation.
Will it or will it not is again very, very debatable. The government well within its right to block inflammatory content, clearly in such unprecedented times that we've seen the kind of unrest, and obviously it is important also for social media users like you and me to realize that we need to use the medium in a constructive way rather than it leading to any form of unrest. But has the government gone too far? Has the crackdown been reasonable and fair? That debate really continues. But with that, it's a wrap here on We Mean Business tonight. Remember, you can also send us your feedback. You can write to me on my Twitter handle at ShwetaRKNDTV. You can also